Good morning, everyone. It is, or afternoon or evening, wherever you are, not really sure. It is a joy to have you here with us today. My name is Andrea Zend, and I'm one of the product managers here at Standard Imaging. I welcome you and thank you for attending our webinar series. Just a note before we delve into today's topic. This webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing shortly on our website. Attendees are in listen-only mode, so you are encouraged to type questions into the chat box on your console, should you have any, and I'll do my best to answer those at the end. A quick word about Standard Imaging and myself. We are based in Middleton, Wisconsin, just outside our capital city of Madison. We were founded in 1989, and from those humble beginnings of well chambers and electrometers, we are now a QA powerhouse where we design and manufacture full suite of QA products for radiation therapy. Our customers are our partners in ensuring that radiation treatments are as safe, efficient, and effective as possible. It is my absolute pleasure to work with you now and in the future to make sure we're meeting your QA needs. And as for me, I've been with Standard Imaging just shy of 16 years now. Most of that time has been in our sales team, working directly with customers to provide tailored, comprehensive QA solutions. And now I'm part of the product management team for close on 2 years, where it's great to take what I've learned and continue to learn from the medical physics community in order to support and advance product development. I'm responsible for our stereotactic phantoms, our stereo checker device for particularly for CyberKnife machine QA, but also some Linac QA, our full brachytherapy product line, and of course, QA Pilot. And that brings me to our webinar topic for today, QA Pilot, which is an advanced software application to securely manage your department metrics and QA data from the grand overview to the granular detail at any time. Today, I'll focus on the newest features that have been added to the software and also talk about how those features help you standardize, customize, and optimize the QA and department management workflows. But first, still got to do a very quick overview of QA Pilot in order for you to follow along with what's going on with what's new. As I've stated, it's a QA database and management system. QA Pilot provides dashboard summaries for everything from sites and machines to QA schedules, status and reports, and to QA equipment inventory and tasks for broad oversight. Tracking machine downtime, service items, audit and accreditation, documentation, process improvement goals, and other details are made really easy in QA Pilot with a wealth of data that is stored in the database and within your reach anytime you have web access. So it's great for QA task management and also departmental management. It is also important to note that it is provided as software as a service model, and this translates into lower entry costs, lower maintenance costs, scalability, and data security. It is also important to note what QA Pilot does not do in order to make management easier. It does not limit the number of users. The software does not contain any patient data. It does not require the replacement of QA devices in order to be able to integrate device data. It does not require software reinstallation every time there's an update, which is the beauty of the SaaS model. And it does not limit custom tests to simple pass, fail, or text fields. So let's go ahead and look at the software, as that's what we're here for. Let me see if I'm sharing the right thing with you, as I'm not 100% sure that I am. not sure. Somebody wants to put a mention in the chat about whether I'm sharing the correct screen. That would be helpful. You should see QA Pilot, the blue menu, and we can go through what's going on. All right, I'm just going to take a peek to see if anybody's chatting with me. Yep, sharing looks good. Thank you ever so much, my dear colleague, Ashley. So with QA Pilot, I'll go through the blue menu items here to highlight what's new in the software, because there's a lot going on, a lot that's new. As you can see here, grand overview, how simple do I want to get, how detailed do I want to get. You can collapse all, or you can expand all, or you can expand individual ones. To see what's going on, get a real quick view, what's overdue, what's coming up, whether action needs to be taken. So in the schedules, one of the things is not the latest, but it's one of the newer features is that we now have built-in preset TG51 worksheets for electron and photon energies. And I'm going to go into the photon one because what is very, very new, and again, this thing is always in my way, is down here. Again, you can see the spreadsheet, very simple. White spaces are where you enter things or have selected drop-down selections based on how you've configured your QA equipment. The gray areas are calculations that are performed. Well, within this spreadsheet, the newest thing we've added is the beam quality factor, the KQ. If I want to update my KQ, I can now do that right within the worksheet within a worksheet, if you will. So we ask some simple things here. Is it flattening filter? We need some percent depth dose measurements. We need to enter some values here, and then you have a choice to calculate the KQ via linear interpolation or a curve fit. And of course, as a physicist responsible for doing this, we do ask that you sign in and use your password to be able to sign and save this calculation as part of your responsibility. So that's what I wanted to show you in schedules. Now let's move on to review. We're going to just leave that. So again, we can collapse all. And these are the three categories that we now show in the review page. It used to be just the QA reports, what's in process, what needs to be signed off on, what's still in progress and needs to be continued. And you can continue them straight from this page, which is also a newer update, instead of having to go into the schedules and then access that QA schedule. We've added machine log items, and in case those of you don't know, it's where you can track, Linux specific items like machine downtime, service issues, Linux accessories, but users have expanded it to track a whole bunch of other things. So it really is one of those things that you can set up in the management. We'll go through momentarily to see what improvements have been made, but it's the kind of thing that you can set up and apply to your entire organization, or to specific sites or specific machines within specific sites, depending on how much customization you need to make. And then, of course, with equipment, we have now added the equipment, those tasks that are assigned to equipment QA devices, those that are within 90 days of due dates will appear as on this list on the review page. If they're overdue, shame on me. These are now overdue, and it's going to highlight that in red so that you're sure that you're going to pay attention to what you really need to. So that's what we have there. On to reports. Now, in the past, we have had simply just a list of all QA reports that have been recorded by performing QA schedules. But now we've added a couple of other types of reports. We now have periodic report history. And if I want to go into one of those and see what that looks like, you can get some information, very specific information, our daily dosimetry, our trending graphs, very easy to access here under these reports. We also, if you want to generate a summary report, we allow you to now pick your date range. What schedule are we talking about getting a summary report of? Is there a subset of the full list of things that you want to include? And you can run those specialized report configurations. So that's what's new in reports. Now we're going to skip down to the manage section, because this is the meat and potatoes of the software, right? This is where, as a physicist administrator, we work with you very closely to make sure that we get your sites and machines set up, users, all of those good things. And we are always tweaking and updating things here to make it faster and easier for you to do those things. One of the biggest things that we've done, which I want to show you first, is actually in our custom tests. Remember, I said that we do not limit you to simple pass, fail, or text entry fields, but we'll go down here to my playground, and you'll see that one of the little things that we did was, okay, you've created a test, you gave it a name, but it's you did that a year ago. Now I need to go back and remember, what did I create? Why did I create it? Because I might want to copy it, or I might want to add to it. So now we actually define whether it's numeric, a deviation, a ratio, or if it's a numeric table type test. So it gives you, just a bit more information. The other thing that we have for all of these is being able to preview. So as you're setting this up, you want to be able to preview, what is this actually going to look like in my QA schedule? Well, here's a way for you to be able to quickly see that, instead of having to close out of here, go into a schedule, take a look, and go, that's not right, and go back. We make that a whole lot easier for you. And then if I want to add a test, again, we have done a lot of work to add computational functionality. We're working more and more towards replacing more and more spreadsheets, because you guys want to get rid of them. We hear it, we know it, and we're working on building in calculational ability. So how are we doing that? We now allow you to calculate averages, sums, standard deviation, magnitudes, and differences. And then we have, for example, in your deviation test, you can use a common nominal value. You can choose to average those. For the ratio test, you can choose whether to have a common denominator or an average numerator. Again, a lot of flexibility built in here. Now, one of the things I also want to highlight, although it's not brand new, I think it's a great feature to remind people of. You can create templates, QA templates, and an individual test via the custom test, which is a file attachment. Those file attachments can be images, they can be PDF reports, anything that you might need. And if you wanted to, for example, you could create an annual audit or accreditation review, basically, prep schedule. So what is it we need to have on hand for auditors? And once you create those as file attachments, give them a name. This is our machine service reports for 2020. This is our whatever. You can choose those things here. They can be rendered inline, which is really convenient for images for sure, but you can even render reports right inside your QA schedule and your QA report. So when an accreditation agency, those people or the auditors come in, they can actually use a guest login to review, to have access to only the reports and documents. Can't touch any databases, can't go in and look at anything except for reports and documents. You have a report that's out there with all the other stuff rendered inside, or specific one, one for CT, one for our HDR, one for this Linux, one for that Linux. Those types of things that you can use. You can create a sort of the general overall, so it's standardized across Linux and sites within your organization, and then you can customize those even further based on individual machines or technology that you're using, or accessories to your Linux that are being used. So a lot of standardization and customization, because we want to optimize your time and optimize your workflows within the clinic. And of course, all of these are managed according to your workflows via our templates. and this is the next thing I wanted to show you. This is where we have a bunch of presets. Remember, these are our TG51 worksheets that are already pre-built that you can view the tests, and then you can utilize those, assign these to a LINAC, and you're good to go. I'm going to go back up to my temp testing, which is, notice here that these are the device types, right? What type of LINAC are we using? Does it have CBCT? Is it a LINAC? Is it HDR? Like we've got Breaky and other. Well, we want to support, vendor neutrality doesn't just, it means more than Elekta versus Varian. It also means Accuray. It means, proton systems. It means gamma knife systems. It means lots of different things, which we just categorize as other. And if I'm going to modify a template, whether it's having copied and modifying a preset one, the tests that are available to me change when I have chosen the machine type of other. So for those who are familiar with QA Pilot, you'll know that we've built in a bunch of available tests, all of what's included in TG142. But of course, TG142 doesn't cover CyberKnife. It doesn't cover Breaky. It doesn't cover protons. So when you choose that device type other, we have Breaky tests that are available as for test selection. We have MPC import for Varian, Halcyon, and a couple different versions of the MPC. We've started, it's just one proton daily test, but that is, again, the beauty of having such a dedicated team and software as a service. We are building that out based on customer requests. What is your most urgent need? Those are the things we're addressing, so that you don't have to build all the custom tests. We are building them in so that they're available to you from simple drop downs. Gamma Knife, we've started with 3 tests here. And then we've added a few HDR tests, which I need to scroll down, available here. And, again, CyberKnife, we've got a variety of CyberKnife tests that are built in. So we really do want to take vendor neutrality as far as Linux is concerned, but also QA devices. Coming before the end of the month, we already covered the daily devices for a variety of vendors. Coming by the end of the month, we're also supporting our monthly profile type device, which is our QA cross-checker, a couple of IBA devices, and of course, a Nuclear's profiler. So those are some great things for you to look forward to as well. The other thing in custom tests, which I didn't show you, which I'd like to go back to for just a hot minute, is, the variety of custom tests were sort of the simplistic tests. I've got some values to enter, so on. But again, in order to replace a bunch of spreadsheets, we got to get more calculation ability into the system. And we've done that by creating custom, or the ability for you to create custom data tables. So how many rows is it going to have? Columns is it going to have? What are my labels? And then I can perform calculations, that variety of calculations. I can do that on columns, I can do that on rows, and I can do it on individual cells within the table. So let me just take a minute to show you what that actually looks like when you're actually performing the QA under schedules. So we'll scroll down here to see what some of those custom tests actually look like. Here's a simple difference test, a simple ratio test. This is an average. We're averaging some information here. Here's another one where we're calculating differences. And then we get down to some of the more complex ones here, where we're looking at averaging readings 1 and 2 here, and then we're doing an overall standard deviation. So that's all the data in the table. Or we're looking at, we want to do the averages of these different gantry angle readings for the different energies. And because there's more than one that we're doing here, they're listed below. And then you may want to do something where you're summing your rows, but I'm calculating an average on the column, and I'm also want to calculate a sum on the column. And then you may want to create a standard deviation. Here we're looking at a standard deviation or an overall average. So these are adding a bunch of that math that you guys are looking for in order to eliminate those spreadsheets and those binders, making audit and just organization and management of all this data so much easier. So we got to that. Now we're going to go to manage and talk about machine log, which again, I mentioned earlier. So machine log items, while it was initially meant really to say, hey, we want to track machine downtime. Our users are actually expanding this to do all kinds of different things. It's not just about the LINAC. It may be about LINAC accessories. It may be our physics server that we want to track and be able to communicate about. It may be individual QA devices that we need to track service issues on. It may be any variety, or other types of short-term or whatever projects you might have going on. You might want to manage those via machine logs. So again, we cover a variety of vendors, and that could be internal. It could be your internal IT. Who do I contact for that? This gives you the summary. And if you create a machine log and say basically machine is down, notify the vendor, you can do that even if we're saying I'm notifying my internal IT, or I'm notifying the therapist or something like that. So when you're going to room configuration, again, you can have the summary view, or you can look at, you can expand all of them. I just wanted to zoom in here because we have site configuration as well as room configuration. ARIA applies to all our Linux at site at Cedar Cancer Center, whereas the beam checker I'm using on this one machine, for example. So site configuration, some of the things that we've added in order to customize those is who's allowed to contact a vendor, and then who's notified. Categories is something that we also expanded your ability to customize. We start with some basics, but now when I add a category type, I can assign it to sites, or I can assign it to specific machines at different locations. And this definition here will mean once I'm in the machine log and I'm actually entering something, you get only that information that is applicable to that particular site or machine. So what does that actually mean here? Well, if I go over to the machine log and I'm going to enter something, one of those categories I have is OSMS. But if I change it and I really need to record something for our Maple Hospital HDR afterloader, then I have categories that are specific to the brachytherapy room. So that's how we manage those things. And again, it's a way for you to standardize across the organization, but also customize specific to what is specific room types, or specific accessories and equipment being used on a specific LINAC. These are important to be able to have standardization, but also customize. And the last thing I really wanted to go over with you today is we have added tasks and the assignment of tasks versus having to create a machine log. We've added it here to the blue menu, as you can see. If I click just on tasks, that brings me to the list of open items where they can be edited or finished or deleted if they're no longer relevant. The plus sign is here for me to be able to create a task. I can assign it to myself. I can assign it to somebody else. Give a little summary of what the task is, give it a due date, choose who it needs to be assigned to, and then choose whether you want an email be notified when it's completed. Another really smart thing in here is that, okay, I assigned a task, it's due in 3 months. Well, that means it's certainly not my hottest fire to put out today, so it's a lower priority, but we don't want low priority to fall through the cracks. So what are we going to do then? We're going to say, okay, I'm going to do a 1 month alert, or a 1 week ahead alert, or even a day ahead alert. So you remember, you get an alert, it's going to move back up in the fire pile and make sure that it gets addressed in a timely manner as requested. The other really cool thing about tasks is that they can be assigned from literally any page in the software. So here you'll notice a green button came up with the number 1. Well, that means a task has been created on the documents page. Well, what is that? Oh, yeah, here we go. We're starting a stereotactic program, and I got to remember to update our TG-142 procedures because we're going to be adding a daily Winston-Lutz test because we're doing daily stereotactic treatments now. So this is one of those things that was created for the documents section where the procedure is going to be available. I can assign it to people, once I've done my completion of that, I can assign something to people. Again, where does it matter in the organization? Does everybody in the organization need to know about this procedure, or do certain sites need to know about it because only Cedar is doing stereotactic treatments? Maple isn't on board with that yet. You get to decide which roles, which sites, which machines these things might be applicable to. And again, keep that organization, keep that communication flowing within your department by giving due dates, sending email notifications, all of course within a HIPAA compliant software application. So that, in a nutshell, is a bunch of the new stuff that we have available in QA Pilot. So I'm just going to hop back over here for a moment. And let you know, while you may be digesting some of this information and thinking about questions that you might have for me, I'll give you a hot minute to do that. I wanted to remind you that it's a bummer we're not going to be able to see each other at AAPM again this year, but we are preparing a whole bunch of activities. This is a list of the webinars that we will have going on. We're part of the vendor showcase on Sunday. 11:20 is our time slot. And then that is, of course, you register on the AAPM website for that. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we will be giving presentations as well. And those you register for on the Standard Imaging website. So our Standard Imaging website, I encourage you to go check it out. There's a whole bunch more recorded webinars, lots of valuable information, especially if you create a customer portal account to access a bunch of information. And of course, if you think of something after we're off the phone, absolutely reach out to sales, absolutely reach out to me. I want to be of assistance. We all want to be able to help you be as efficient and ready to go with the work in your department. So I don't see any questions. So with that, I'm going to say thanks again for attending today. It's a challenge. Soon, hopefully, we'll be seeing each other in person. But in the meantime, I wish you a great rest of your day wherever you are, and reach out anytime you need some help. Thanks. Bye-bye.